having it too low is annoying, but having it too high is more annoying. So, you just got to pick your poison.
Yeah. I am so excited. We haven't recorded in 2 months.
More than that. Almost 3.
Lord Jesus. No, because we recorded right before. We recorded like the second week of December.
It is the first week of February.
Yeah, so not
Almost.
even 2 months. Next week would be
2 months.
2 months.
2 months, sorry. I always get confused when it's stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a while
It has.
since we sat in here. And it's exciting.
I've genuinely missed this.
I think I have too. There's
I've sat in my room and I just want to sit down and just talk shit.
There's something cathartic about doing a podcast that I will agree.
And I've been able to take in so much media. I've watched so many movies and books
so many
and
new
stuff
things
that I want to talk about.
It's nice. It's nice to take a break from constantly recording, so we have time to
actually find stuff
to talk about, to record. So that is much needed, and I don't think we realize that until right now.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll be taking.
Because we get into no, don't say that. We're not gonna take.
No more breaks. Non-stop, baby.
We will
Grinding.
figure out a better way to give ourselves a break without going months without uploading.
But that's the fun of it. It's like, are they going to upload a new episode? Or are they going to go away for 3 months? Like,
What's the joke? Do I really hate my friends, or do I just need to go to sleep? I'm 21 now.
Yeah.
I am.
Happy Borf.
My birthday was over a week ago. I was like, it was on Sunday. No, it was over a week ago.
Yeah, just over a week ago.
And I still have yet to go out and purchase more alcohol since when we did on my birthday.
That's all you, man.
I know, but I've been thinking about it every night. I'm like, I could leave.
And just go buy alcohol. Right?
I'd have a pretty good night.
Right? You just could. And like, no one can stop you now.
Nobody.
You're at this point where no one can stop you.
Yeah.
You could just do it.
I could.
That's
also pretty sad.
It's a little sad when it's just like, I'm buying it for me.
I also don't have any money. And so I'm like...
Oh, yeah. Money is very scarce.
Yeah. Alcoholics, how do they do it?
How do they keep it up? Those alcoholics, they must have solid jobs.
No. I don't.
No comment?
I'm ready to go.
You raring to go?
I'm ready to talk about what we're going to talk about today. Do you see? You need to see all of my notes because I took so many notes. Oh my God, turn on. Look at my face. Okay.
Look at my face, please. Oh my God.
I told you everything that I thought I wrote down.
You're insane.
Yeah. We won't get through all of them. Some of them I've like, you don't want to get through all of them.
That many?
They're pretty, a lot of them. So some of them are bolded and some of them are underlined. Like, you need to talk about this one. The other ones, they're like, it's okay if you miss it.
Whatever. Yeah. Well, this is Media for the Intellectually Impoverished. I'm Taylor.
I'm Randi.
And this is the podcast that
enriches your mediocre lives.
We're
back, baby! Well, they don't know. They still got episodes, but we haven't recorded it.
Yeah, we have not recorded in a very long time. Everything that you've seen for the past month
was recorded in December.
Yeah, was recorded pre-Christmas.
Before Christmas. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Oh my God, Christmas break was crazy. I caught COVID.
You did?
I did.
Would you like to talk about it?
Maybe for a little bit.
Okay.
You
take up half the podcast.
You know me. It was rough. Like, I don't know what I had exactly because I just did a home test, and when it tested positive, I was like, okay, that's all I need to know. Just quarantine for 10 days. I spent the entirety of my quarantine sitting on the couch and watching YouTube and Netflix. It was not pleasant.
Well, not for you.
No.
I think that'd be a pretty nice break for me. Yeah,
I think it would have been better had I not just like felt so miserable.
Did you actually like feel bad?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I felt terrible for 3 or 4 days straight. It was just like...
Oh, that's right. You kept saying you were going to die.
Because I was talking to her while I was sick, and I was like, I'm going to die tomorrow. I'll wake up and I'll be dead.
Well, because I was on a film shoot, and you kept texting me that you were going to die, and I was like, no, you're not. Calm down. You're not going to die.
If anyone's dying, it's me. I'm the one dying. It was rough. But, I mean, I made it through it, and now I'm much better, and... honestly, it's just a fun story because I managed to get it right at the end of the semester when everybody left. And so I was able to quarantine.
Didn't prevent you from giving it to anybody, though.
No, I gave it to quite a few. I feel so bad about that. I feel so bad.
I didn't get it, so
Yeah, you didn't get it.
I'm going
nice.
2 years strong without getting COVID. It's gonna be like a thing now. It's like, how long before you got COVID? Baby, I never got COVID. Like,
I'm still not immune. I could die at any moment.
No, I have all the vaccines and the booster. I think I'm okay. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, what are we talking about today, Randy?
We are talking about, we're late to the party as always, because that's our brand, but we're talking about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh my goodness. What, that movie that we both really enjoyed?
I want to talk about it so bad after I saw it with my brother. Tears. Like, okay, spoilers. Like, I'm not even going to apologize for it because we're late to the game. You've seen it. If you haven't seen it, go see it and then listen to this
And if you don't
episode.
care about it, listen to it. Yeah. And we'll tell you about it.
No, we're not even going to try and hide it. There are spoilers. So, and what is, I think it's the last like third of the movie, maybe the last, I don't know exactly when Aunt May dies, but when she does, that's like the big like climax of the film.
Yeah.
Tears the rest of the movie.
Straight tears the rest of the movie. I don't think
of the movie.
It's like from joy, from sadness, and from
everything.
Teenage angst, like everything all at once.
And all I wanted to do after I saw it with my brother was I just wanted to talk about it. And my brother's not like a big film guy, but like he'll listen to me like rant, but he doesn't add anything to the conversation. So I'm just like talking at a wall. I'm like, no, come on, tell me what you thought about the movie.
Please, I want to hear your opinions.
Please fight with me because I got opinions. I got opinions.
Yeah, you're a very opinionated person. Do you want to? So we, just before we came to record, we went and saw the movie one more time to get it fresh on the brain. Granted, we missed the first 15 minutes.
And look, and that's the part that I think is one of like the downfalls for me, is the beginning of it. So here's. Do you have anything to say before I start jumping in?
I was just gonna say we missed the first 15 minutes, and that's it. I mean, but we'd both seen the movie before. So
yeah, okay. So, and this is what I was trying to explain to you on the car ride there, what we had missed. So the very, like, the first 20 minutes of it or whatever, because you think the movie's going to be about one thing. All the trailers, it was like his identity's out. He's a murderer. How are they going to get him out of, like, he's going to go to trial. He's going to go to jail. Like, all of these, like, it's all around his identity and this, like, murder. He's a murderer and the public opinion of him going down. That whole plot is solved in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And it happens so quickly. I'm telling you, these scenes are like back. It's just bam, 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 knock it out. I'm like, this isn't it. This isn't Spider-Man. This is just, let's get all this out of the way so we can move on. We gotta move on.
I would disagree. I would say that when it comes to the comics, a lot of what Spider-Man is balancing the Peter Parker and the Spider-Man, which is a big theme throughout the entire movie, I think. And the first sort of quarter of the movie is about that, like, you know, like now that everyone knows his Peter Parker and his Spider-Man have now bled together into one thing, and the repercussions of that and what that looks like for him.
But how much of that do we actually get to see, like the repercussions of him coming out? Because the last thing that we really see about his identity being out is them going to school and like the school being overrun with like paparazzi and people. After that, the whole tone of the movie shifts. It's no longer his identity's out. It's now, I want to get into college.
Yeah.
And then after that, and then the whole movie shifts again, and it's like, now we gotta help people.
But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, right? I think that
it felt weird to me. It felt we were constantly shifting what the story was meant to be, or what it was. It felt like it was doing a lot of things at once. It was just trying to wrap up loose ends.
Yeah, I can see that being a thing, but it's those moments that lead us to him making that decision to be like, oh, I should go to Doctor Strange and have him fix my problem for me, right? So that's without that first quarter, we wouldn't have the rest of the movie, right? Like, so that's just the buildup, and that's how a lot of movies work. You just have to build up to that moment. I personally like all of the sort of crime scene where they're in the room being interrogated and all that stuff.
I think, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's interesting, and you're right, it does lead. It's just, I don't know, it just felt weird. It felt like
rushed.
it rushed, but like. I guess it's like you're saying, it's just exposition.
Yeah.
It's just, but it exposition to the point of like, that I notice it. Like in other movies, I feel like I'm not looking at the first 15 minutes of it. I'm like, oh, this is, they're just rushing this to get to the point. I'm like, no, it flows better. This was very much felt like it was like, get it out of the way so we can get to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield?
Yes and no. I think that there's definitely some aspects of that. And I do feel that there are parts that are rushed. I'm trying to think of like ways that it might connect to the main theme of the movie, which is...
What's the main theme of the movie?
That's a good question.
I got questions for you, and I want to know answers. Was this a Spider-Man movie, or was this a Peter Parker movie? What was the theme of this movie?
It was a Peter Parker movie.
Okay.
It had to be, because it was all about Peter Parker coming to the terms with the fact that he can't be both Peter Parker and Spider-Man all the time. And so in the end, he makes that decision, I have to be Spider-Man, because the world needs Spider-Man. The world doesn't need Peter Parker.
But he needs Peter Parker.
He needs Peter Parker, but he is Spider-Man. So what can you do?
Why is it called Spider-Man if it's a Peter Parker movie?
I don't know. But that's always what it's been about, right? Ever since the creation of Spider-Man, it's always been about
his balancing
act. And I think that this movie does a good job of reminding us of that and tying that back to not just his story, but everyone's story altogether, and how Peter Parker's in general have that lack of ability to balance things. And you see, it's interesting because you see Tom, you see Andrew, and you see Toby at different stages of that balancing act. And figuring out how to balance things correctly.
Did they they made him the third Spider-Man? Because they gave I'm Spider-Man 1 was Tom Holland, and then was Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 2? I looked at my phone during that point when they were giving out their names. Do you know?
No, Toby's 2. Andrew's 3.
I was gonna say, because that's rough, buddy. If they made Toby 3, like he's already the oldest. He's already and he's just the third Spider-Man. I don't know. Here's the thing. I walked out of the movie asking, was this a good movie?
Was it?
What makes a good movie?
I think that, there's a lot of things that go into it.
There's so many aspects of it. And so I'd like, because I kind of have a plan for how I wanted this episode to go.
Oh, if you've got a plan, then plan away.
Okay. I want to go through the aspects of it. And so what makes a good movie? We're going to answer, was this a good movie?
Okay.
Unless you were right off the top, you're like, no, it's a good movie. Done with it.
I'm down to discourse.
Okay.
Hit me. What's your first topic?
I mean, plot. What was the theme? It was him. It felt cheesy when Aunt May, she says the iconic line, with great power comes great responsibility. And it's that felt very forced as well. They had to throw it in there because they all have to say it before they die, or it has to. And so, but that's is that the theme of the movie?
No, I don't think that's the theme of the movie. I think the theme of the movie, it boils down to Peter's decision of being Spider-Man, right? So the theme of the movie has to be something along the lines of, maybe it is with great power comes great responsibility, right? Because it kind of ties back to that idea of, because he has the ability to be Spider-Man, he can't be Peter Parker. He has to be Spider-Man, at least for now. And because he decided to try to live both again and begin that balancing act again, that's why he lost so many people. So many people got hurt. And it's sort of this story of him realizing that for as long as he tries to balance both, the people in his life closest to him will get hurt. And so coming to terms with the necessity of Spider-Man, but his inability to protect those if he chooses to live as Peter Parker. So I don't know about I can't pin down a specific theme off the top of my head.
But the main plot or the main conflict of the film is him coming to terms with him being Spider-Man, that he has to be Spider-Man and his Peter Parker side has to take a back seat. He has to choose one.
I think so. I think that's the main internal conflict, right? With him is, can I be both Peter Parker and Spider-Man? And then he ends up saying no.
No, it's not possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's because in all of the other films, it's him. It's the same thing with responsibility. It's him having to, and identity. He's what is the first one? Homecoming, and then Far From Home. He has to take on this. He has to be Spider-Man. As much as he wants to live a normal life, he has this need to protect people, and so. I think you're right. I think that's kind of it. But also it's when you topple on everything else that happens in that film, that plot line, I feel like it gets muddied.
I feel like it does too. And I understand what you're saying in the front half. like when it's just all of the I need to get to college and I need to do this. But I think that it also kind of fits because it's him realizing the impact that being Spider-Man has on the people around him, specifically like his friends, right? Like because he was Spider-Man, they can't make it into college. And but that's the first like inciting, like this is the me being Spider-Man affects you. And that's the small one. And then it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until like everything starts toppling all at once. So,
but they could have gotten into college. Had he not gone to Doctor Strange first, had he talked to the admissions lady, would that actually no?
Because the reason that she changed her mind was because he's saying,
I hadn't. Okay, that just came full circle in my head.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
The reason that so Peter goes to see the MIT admissions lady or someone in the head of MIT. And Doc Ock attacks the bridge, and then he saves her from Doc Ock. And she's like, "Oh my God, Peter, you're actually a hero." She's like, "I'm going to talk to admissions about you and your friends." And then that's how they get into college. But had he not gone to Doctor Strange, he would have never.
I mean, he still could have gone to her, and we don't know. He could have. See, we can't just speculate. I thought we could actually have a discussion about it, but we can't just speculate. Had he gone to her first, would she have been able? Maybe not. That's we don't know her character enough to know her internal conflict, so we can't really speculate about that. But then the next wrench in the story, he didn't have to save all of the villains.
He didn't.
Could have sent them all back, lived his life with his friends, his family.
But with great power comes great responsibility.
I can't roll my eyes hard enough. I can't do it. But that line is so cheesy. I get that it's like it's truly like it's true. Like with great power, like with great knowledge, with great anything comes a lot more responsibility. As we get older, more responsibility is put onto us. That is to live. That is life. But it's so cheesy in the movie. I think they just make it so cheesy.
I think we need to move on to what is the next thing on your docket?
Okay, characters. And character development.
Good God! All I gotta say first, can I lump acting into that, or is that a separate
I was gonna
category?
say we have to put acting into it because my God,
Willem Dafoe.
Oh my God,
kills it. He kills it.
All of them kill it.
They do. I think
the two that really stood out to me was Willem Dafoe and then Andrew Garfield.
Yes.
Both of those. Oh, the performances were so good.
I think that. I mean, you put Willem Dafoe in front of a camera, and that man becomes whoever he is supposed to be. So
Willem Dafoe, he plays Green Goblin, if you don't know.
Jinx.
We can't both say
But yeah, I mean, he kills the role. Like, he absolutely smashes it into tiny bits. It's as if he never stopped playing the role in the first place.
That's who he is. Like,
I think he's better in this movie than he was in Spider-Man 1.
100%, I think he is.
And it could be due to writing. It could be due to experience. It could be due to a multitude of things.
Yeah, it's probably due to experience,
but
I would assume.
His ability...
I was getting such Joker vibes from it. I was getting Joaquin Phoenix from it because he's insane. And so there's one scene so good right before Aunt May dies when Peter's just like beating the shit out of him and he just has the biggest smile on his face. My God.
And I love that Willem Dafoe, one of the reasons when they asked him to come back, he said, "Yeah, I'll come back. I want to do all of my own stunts though."
Oh my, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh my God.
So he power bombed Tom Holland.
Oh my God. Lord Jesus, how old is he?
I think he's in his 60s.
Oh my God. He could have broken a hip.
That man is a beast.
He's a beast.
I mean, I love it. I love his performance. I think that there are a couple of performances that felt a little forced or out of place. I think that who plays Electro? Jamie Foxx?
Ooh.
Show me Jamie Foxx pictures. Yeah, Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
Jamie Foxx and Tobey Maguire, I think, were probably the two weakest links.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tobey Maguire. I mean, yeah, he couldn't. He's his dad. He's a dad. He can't be Spider-Man anymore.
I think that it felt for me, and I love Tobey, and I don't want this to pull away from anything that he's done because his work as an actor is amazing.
Has he done? I mean, I'm really sorry. Has he done anything since his original Spider-Man series?
Yeah, he did a Great Gatsby.
That's the only other thing that I could think of is Great Gatsby.
He did another. Else? I'm not sure of the name of the film, but it's about the veteran coming home and dealing with PTSD. He does an amazing performance in that movie. I wish I could remember the name. I think you're looking it up right now.
Well, I'm looking Brothers.
Yes, Brothers.
Okay.
My God, Jake Gyllenhaal's in that movie as well. Those two smash it. But I don't want this to draw away from any of that. I think that he's an amazing actor. I think that for this one, it really was just sort of like everyone needed him to come back, and so he just felt maybe obligated to do it, or maybe it was a paycheck thing.
Well, I don't know what happened with the original like trilogy, because I would imagine any actor who does a series for so long. I mean, you hear it in television, like those when their show is up, how sad that they are to not only leave their fellow castmates, but also to leave this character behind.
Yeah, and
so
I've heard stories of Tom and Andrew being like, oh, he just loved being on set and he was a joy to be around. Personally, and this is just a me thing, and it could just be a me thing, I just think like the lines were a little forced.
I mean, and I think that's the thing, though. I mean, how do you play? We haven't seen that before in older Spider-Man.
And that's true.
And how do you play that character, Spider-Man? Like, I don't read the comics. I don't know. Have we ever seen an old Spider-Man?
Oh, I mean, in the comics, yeah.
Okay.
A bunch of times. There's a bunch of different versions of it, and
well, how do you play that? I mean, he was working with like completely new material, and so I feel like the lines they didn't fit him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Maybe yeah, and it could be a writing thing too.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of factors that go into it. I just think that there are a couple scenes where it's just a little awkward. Like I feel like he doesn't express enough. Like his face, I think, didn't express enough, and that might have been it. But other than that, I think that and I said Jamie Foxx. I think Jamie Foxx is just playing Jamie Foxx, but in a movie, which kudos to him for pulling it off. Like it still fits. I just think that it's not exactly the character. I don't think.
Yeah.
But I still love the movie as a whole, and I still love the acting as a whole. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Phenomenal.
Absolutely. And Tom Holland, oh my God, there are. That's what I said. There are. That Southern accent.
Oh,
Tom Holland. He's a great actor in and of himself, and he's doing so many movies and things. My God, he does not take a break.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a line when Aunt May is dying, and he says, I wrote it down because it breaks my heart. It shatters my heart. It's will you look at me, May, please? And he's like tearing up, and like that, it broke my heart because it has to be the writing, or maybe it's improvisation or something, but the way that he delivers those lines was such deep-seated like sadness and the want for everything to be okay and just to like push it away. It's that everything's fine. We're not going to think about. And it reminded me of when he's in. Is it Infinity War when he dies? When he dies, he's Mr. Stark. I don't want to leave or something like that. I'm not feeling so good. Those two moments, they're the exact same.
Really?
Yeah.
In your brain.
And the delivery and the, like just that deep seated that connection with that character. I am this character. I don't want to die. I don't want you to die.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they could have cast Spider-Man better out of any of the three of them. I think all three of them make amazing Spider-Man.
I think they fit their respective series.
I mean, the casting in general, I think, is just peak. It's just really, really, really well done. I'm sad that some of the villains didn't get a whole bunch of limelight. I feel like there was like a lot of the villains were just kind of used as like, oh, he's here, jokey joke, you know. Like there is the lizard. There's so much shit that you could do, and then it's just boiled down to let's turn people into lizards guy. As well as
was he not? That's not what he was. I mean, isn't that what he was in the original film that he was in?
Yes,
there's
and
not so much you can.
They tried to do some of it, and you can kind of see inklings of it in the scene where Tom first encounters the lizard, but the lizard is just terrifying. Like he's the horrifying creature that comes from. It's like Spider-Man and horror mix, and that's sort of where it comes from because you can come from anywhere. Like even in the comics, like it's just scary because he lives in the sewers, and then Spider-Man has to go into the sewers to find him, and there's a whole lot of stuff like that, and I feel like they could have used a little more of that, but then again, they did have 5, 6 villains.
Many. Yeah, why did they could have each. Six. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the whole bit, right? The Sinister Six is Spider-Man will face Clearly 6 villains at a time. That's his shtick. That's his villain thing. Is that 6 people will be plotting to capture him all at the same time, and he'll beat them all at the same time. And he does that hundreds and hundreds of times over hundreds of different kinds of media, and it's always impressive. It's part of that juggling idea, right? Like he has to juggle 6 people. He has to juggle being Peter Parker and Spider-Man at the same time.
But yeah. I'm not a good enough nerd to know that.
And that's why
I'm
there
really
was
sad.
But I think there was only 5 villains, wasn't there? There was Ock, Goblin, Lizard, Sandman, Electro.
Yep. And does Sandman even really count as a villain?
He is a villain. He's actually part of the Sinister Six.
I know, but in this film.
In this film.
He's just kind of there. He's just kind of like, I want to go home. And like, if it means that we have to take you down, then I want to go home.
Yeah, I feel like he was just like, I'm your friend. Wait, I'm not your friend. I'm going to leave. And then he leaves, and then he comes back, and then he grabs Peter, and he's like, just give me the box.
Well, because that's his whole character. He wants to go home. Like, he's like, I have a daughter, I have a family, and I want to, like, but in his movies, he can't, never mind.
His movie isn't great. Let's not.
Oh, I know that, but also, like, he's already separated from his family. Why go home? Like, you already, like, distance yourself from them. If you go back, what are you gonna make it up? What is it? Also, look, okay, so I wanted to talk about character development in that as well.
Character development.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own little arc. All the heroes, at least.
Yeah.
Even the villains,
I was
actually.
going to say some of the villains.
I think that...
Which I think was a nice touch. I think that's a pro. That's a one for it's a great movie.
Mm-hmm. All of the heroes, all the Spider-Man had their own arcs sort of close, a lot of loose ends
That's what this film really feels like. And I see, and that goes, it isn't a good, because it's not a standalone. It's like, it's the end of the trilogy, and it's just tying up loose ends. But is that what makes a good movie? Does it have to be a standalone movie?
I don't think so. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is considered the best Spider-Man film, and it's not a standalone movie. It requires knowledge of Spider-Man in the first Spider-Man movie.
Mm-hmm. But a movie solely based... Do you think this movie was like solely just tying up loose ends?
No, I don't think so. I think there was enough character development and enough going on for our Spider-Man that just because we have tiny moments, like little moments of let's tie up this loose end for that character, doesn't necessarily take away from the fact that our character is developing, our character is learning, our character is growing. But you can have these small moments of appreciation that we can see as people who have consumed all of this media and understand all of the stories behind it. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it can be a good movie.
I agree. I think there's a lot of character development in it. It's just, it felt, again, with tying up loose ends, it felt like it was very much thrown together. As much as I hate to say it, it's just kind of like, okay, we threw in Andrew Garfield. How do we tie him up? How do we make him fit in this? Okay, he saves MJ. Like he redeems himself.
But it doesn't feel thrown together. It feels like it works, right? Because Tom was trying to save her, and then he gets knocked away, and then Peter was like, "Oh shit, I got to do something about this," and then he jumps down and he saves her.
Peter?
Yeah, Andrew Peter.
Okay, you can't just say Peter. There's 3 Peters.
But we know
we're not falling into the joke that they had to do like 6 times about there being 3 different Peters.
I will say this movie definitely has a lot of let's please the fans, let's help the fans. That was
the next thing that I was going to get into, is because I think a lot of people are blindsided by nostalgia.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, shit, look how much it grossed. It's almost the #1 grossing movie of all time, and it's only been out for 3 months.
But you can't say, I mean, it's not a standalone, but you can't say that it's a good movie when everything in it, majority of it, is based in other movies.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just different, right? It's just new. It's something that's experimental with the way that Marvel has been doing things, and they've created a cinematic universe.
Yeah,
they've created this story. They've worked hard to get here. We can't diminish the fact that just because this is down the line makes it not a good movie. It's still a good movie. Just because it has some backstory to it that maybe not everyone goes into understanding doesn't diminish the fact that it's a good, impactful movie. Okay,
but let's say, so you go into it, you never having seen any of the other Spider-Men. Those people are completely lost to what's going on.
Not necessarily. They understand that there's a Spider-Man and more than one Spider-Man. And I feel like the plot is cohesive enough so that you can follow it and still get that impact.
Okay, but not only, but if they don't know those other villains. So like all of those little like nuances, like all of those that I think in our minds, because we've seen the other ones, and a lot of other people are what's racking up for it. We get all of these other villains. We get to see them again. We get to see them be redeemed. We had these other Spider-Men. We get to see them, their arcs finished. And it's all these like little one-liners. And it's like, oh, that was funny. I remember that in the other movie. And like, oh, look at him. Like it's all of that is tallying up for good. But if you go in with none of like that whole like next, okay, so you know that Spider-Man is trying to save these villains. But like that's all of that it boils down to if you don't know who those, if you don't even know what those villains have done. Like why is he like saving them? Like he doesn't even know who they are. And
I think that you're trying to you're not trying to. I think you are confusing the idea of a good, enjoyable movie with an Oscar Best Picture movie. Those are two very different things, and they stand for different things.
Okay.
I think they just announced either the Academy Awards. And it's not up for Best Picture, and I think that that's fair.
Okay.
I don't think it deserves Best Picture. That doesn't diminish the fact that it is a great, enjoyable movie that is fun to watch, has solid cinema, and leaves you feeling good.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? And I don't think that it not being the most artistically expressive movie out there diminishes from the fact that it is still a good movie. I don't think that the fact that it's connected to a bunch of other movies, or that you have to have some prior knowledge of Spider-Man or the previous Spider-Man movies, I don't think that diminishes from the fact that it's a fun movie, that it's a good movie.
Okay, now you're saying fun and good. Is it fun because, like...
It's good because it's fun. That's what makes it good.
But is it a still fun movie? So, what makes it is the action sequences. So, if I don't know anybody in this, like, then my fun is being solely based off of what is happening. That he is fighting villains, and like the action sequences. But you're creating this
hypothetical that's very unlikely. Who's walking into this movie without taking their kid, like minus taking a kid or whatever, you know, a mom or a dad doing that? Who is purposefully buying a ticket to this movie? Average consumer. Purposely buying a ticket to this movie that has no knowledge of anything Spider-Man.
Well, not no knowledge. I'm trying to think of like younger generations. I'm trying to think of like kids which I think these movies are more geared towards. Maybe not.
This one specifically is geared towards us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I'm just thinking in terms of like the younger generations who didn't see like the Tobey Maguire ones, maybe saw the Andrew Garfield ones, but who started with Tom Holland.
Even then, I still think it's a solid movie. Okay. And I don't think...
Well, I'm not trying to argue that it's like the worst movie in the world. I'm just trying to get down to what
makes it a good movie. And I think that it being fun, it having those asides, it having these moments, makes it a good movie. Okay. And just because it's dependent upon your knowledge of previous movies or comic books in general, doesn't diminish the fact that it's still good. Okay. You can still, like, it's enjoyable, and that's what makes it good. Yeah.
I agree. I think it's
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think it's a good movie. I go back and forth. I
think that
I've given my opinion to how, and I think it's great. And you talked about the cinematography, which is the next thing that I was going to talk about. The cinematography in it is absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Right. Some of the shots are like after Aunt May dies, that sequence right after Aunt May dies. Oh my gosh. Where he's standing in front of
I tried to take a picture of it because it's so beautiful. When he's standing, like the silhouette of him and then the big like Daily Bugle of like Spider-Man is evil and
yeah, this is him in this small world, and then this is the impact that he has had.
Oh my. Again, it ties back with another, I think it was in the first or the second movie. I haven't seen them recently, but Spider-Man, I think it's when he's just become... No, it has to be in Far From Home. Anyways, he's perched on a ledge, and then behind him is the big Iron Man portrait, and he's like living in the shadow of... that has to be Far From Home.
Yeah, Far From Home, because that takes place
after. But that, again, same vibes of like, he is in the shadow. He's like this small human, and look what he has to live up to. Look at what he has done.
Look at what, like, he was unable to stop. He couldn't stop Iron Man dying. He couldn't stop his Aunt May dying. Yeah, I mean, the cinematography is breathtaking. It's beautiful. The fight choreography,
Oh my God.
it's clean.
It's
clean. And I think that one of the things I really like about it is they're not afraid to do the John Wick style of really long shots of one fight sequence or something to that effect. You see it a lot in the John Wick movies. They have a lot of one-er action sequences, which is really impressive. And they took a note from that without being like exactly like it, where they have one full action will be one shot, like being power bombed through 5 floors of an apartment building.
Oh my God.
That was like one shot. It hits a little bit of the cheesy, a little bit, because you'll see, it's pretty obvious that they're wired and that they're maneuvering with these wires a couple of times.
There was that was one of my with the CGI in it, the whole like in the mirror dimension, that was beautiful.
That was awesome.
And I can't imagine the amount of work and time and the strain dies out there from getting that done, but it is gorgeous. Only thing is not the start of that scene, but when the spell is first breaking and they're in like the dungeon of the Doctor Strange's, and like as it's about to break, like Doctor Strange gets pulled back. It looks so fake. You could almost see the wire like pull him back.
A lot of the Doctor Strange stuff is subpar. And I would say that there's a couple of shots when he's fighting Green Goblin where I'm like, oh yeah, that was very much they were wired, and you can tell. Some of that could have been fixed in editing. When you play with speeds and such of the shot, you can kind of phase those out and make it look a little more like realistic. But I think that they chose to go for a different style, and it still looks great. And I think that the fight scenes are impeccable. I think that the apartment fight scene with the Goblin is easily the best one. I think it trumps even the 3 Spider-Man versus everyone scene for me.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't particularly like the 3 Spider-Man. I mean, I get it. It was still nice. It's good to see them all like working as a team. And I love the line of Tom saying like, "Oh, I've worked in a team before," and neither of them had. It was very much like full circle of like, "Look, we can teach you something, but you can also teach us something."
Yes,
it was very nice. But that scene, it got too chaotic. There's too many people. There's too
there
many people
a whole
talking
lot going on.
And like I got so even on the second time watching it through, I'm like, wait, who just said that? Why does he need to? Was that Tom? Was that Andrew? Who's?
Yeah, there's a little bit of ambiguity in there, and it's just because of the nature of
so many
people, like, and the amount of people that there are in the scene will change your ability to comprehend that.
I wonder if there was not saying, so the director of I think it's John Watts.
John Watts? I think so.
I could be wrong. I looked it up a minute ago.
Yeah, I think it's John Watts.
He's directed all of the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, this Spider-Man trilogy.
This Spider-Man, yes.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if they had gotten was it the Russo brothers who did Endgame and Infinity War? If maybe they had come in for that scene, because they do a really good job of making sure everyone has a little spotlight when it comes to like big fight scenes. And so maybe John Watts wasn't just able to handle. I don't know.
Maybe. I'm not sure. We can't say for certain about any of that. I do agree that it's a little muddled, but I think that it's made up for the fact that all of the one-on-one fight scenes kick absolute ass. Like, it is that, oh man, the whole apartment sequence. I think that whole fight sequence there is my favorite in the entire movie. What always makes me giggle is the amount of British people playing American superheroes right now.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a scene in particular. I think it's the scene that Doctor Strange first shows up, where his American accent is still pretty not great.
Who?
Strange. Benedict
Oh
Cumberbatch.
yeah.
His American accent, for the first scene that he's in, is just like not quite.
It's not there. It's not there.
And I just always giggle.
His whole demeanor in this movie was very strange for him. I felt like.
She said the thing. She said the thing, and it's funny. Brought to you by Saying the Thing, and it's funny.
I'm angry. It was weird.
It's weird.
Because he's trying, like, is he trying to be like a cool dad? You know, like that's the vibes that he's giving off.
No, I think it's just the people that wrote this did not write Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
as far as I know.
Oh. You tell me all the writers don't get together and all write the same movies.
No.
What?
Secondly,
shattered my whole world.
Yeah, your whole world shattered, broken. I just thought it was funny that, and the fact that it was two British guys playing two American superheroes that were talking to each other and pretending to be, and then
oh my god, wait, I didn't even realize that. That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
And then Andrew Garfield's also British.
Yeah.
And so it's two British Spider-Men and then Tobey Maguire, who's actually American.
Oh, poor Tobey. Oh no. He's the only one in this race for us.
But I just thought that was kind of goofy. And there's always spots when accents kind of slip, except for Andrew's. Andrew's is always on point.
Andrew is like, we can't get into it, but his acting is just phenomenal. And I wish that he was in everything, but he can't be in everything because then it would diminish who he was and who he is. Mm-hmm. But his acting, the way that he takes on a character, we had just finished watching Tick, Tick, Boom last Friday. And I'm telling you, they're different. Like, it's the same actor, but different people. Like, and that's so hard to get like your brain around that. Like that he is Spider-Man. Like I am so drawn into his play pretend, who he is. This is Spider-Man, and I can see the same thing in Tick, Tick, Boom. That like, no, Spider-Man. Who? No, I am Jonathan Larson, and this is my life. And the way that he is just able to take on a character. So good.
Him and Willem Dafoe, I think.
Oh yeah. Willem Dafoe 100% takes the cake. He's number one in this, like 100%. I think then Andrew and Tom were like tied for second.
Yeah.
But Willem Dafoe is definitely number one.
There's a couple of shots in the movie that I really like that are parallels to not only the comics but also the other movies that they were from. Willem Dafoe's Goblin. When we first see him as Norman Osborn instead of the Green Goblin, he breaks the Green Goblin mask and then walks away from it. That is a parallel to Spider-Man 2, I believe, which is a parallel to the comics, which was like the end of Spider-Man. It's when Spider-Man gives up being Spider-Man because of existential crisis stuff. And he tosses his Spider-Man suit away in a trash and walks away. You see that in the comics. You see it reappear in the Sam Raimi movie. And then this parallels that with Green Goblin and Norman sort of rejecting, like, I don't want to be this anymore, but being unable to stop it, you know? Same kind of idea with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man still has to be Spider-Man. The Green Goblin had to be Green Goblin just because that's who he was. I liked that shot a lot. Oh, when Strange fights Spider-Man and he knocks him into his like ethereal body for a minute. Oh my
gosh.
You can see the spider sense tingling around his head. And then he's moving around using just the spider sense. I thought that was goofy. That was funny. It gave me a little chuckle and I had a fun time. And then the whole Strange sequence when he's fighting Strange in the mirror dimension. We said it already. It's just beautiful. That's easily one of the prettiest sequences. And one of the most like interesting fight scenes because of the way that Strange fights Spider-Man by making him swing and grab onto his own leg, and then dropping him through like a portal into another portal over and over and over. Just stuff like that, like you don't typically see in fight movies and even in some superhero movies. I think it was really executed very well and it was very pretty. Are you just gonna look at your phone the whole time?
I'm really sorry because I am listening to you and you're right. That whole scene, it boggled my mind about him like going through the portals. Like to stop, I would have never thought. I would have fell forever before I realized, I have webs. I can grab myself and stop myself. Like that was the whole like, and then he's like, that felt a little cheesy. Was him like, it's just geometry. It's just math. It's not magic. I'm like, oh god.
You know what's cooler than magic? Math.
God,
stay in school, kids.
There was really some lines in there that they just like, oh man.
I mean, I don't think it was terrible. It was cheesy.
It wasn't. It's just cheesy, but that's Spider-Man though. But it felt a lot. I mean, and this is the when to do it. If you're ever gonna be cheesy, it's when you're bringing all three Spider-Men together.
Oh yeah.
And the whole scene when they're, oh my god, I could listen to all three of them talk, just asking each other questions about being Spider-Man all day. Because that one scene right before the big like final fight scene happens when they're talking about like, you make your webs? Like, how does that happen? He's like, it's just breathing. Do you breathe? Like, how do you breathe? How do you do breathing? Like, that's what it was. And I could just listen to them. And then he's hyping up Andrew. He's like, you're awesome. Like, what do you mean?
You're amazing.
You're amazing.
You're amazing.
And he's like, I want you to say it. And Andrew keeps like, yeah, thank you.
You know, whatever. Thanks. Like,
he won't say it.
I really needed to hear that.
I really needed to hear that. Oh my gosh. I could listen to them talk just like that ever. That just made me so happy.
I heard somewhere that Andrew, when he goes, "Wait, I love you guys," that was him, Andrew, saying that to them, which is why they don't say it back, and they're just like, "Thanks," because they didn't know what to say in the moment.
Yeah,
and so they just sort of reacted. Like
and I'm so surprised they kept that in because that was such an awkward moment. I haven't seen the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans in such a long time since they came out. When was that, in 2012?
You'd never seen them.
No.
Yeah, they came out in 2012, 2013.
2013. No, I haven't seen them since they came out. So I can't remember. Is that like did that fit his original character? Because it felt like it was very like outside of like, it was just like a throwaway. I was like, I love you guys. And then they were like,
I don't think so.
What?
I don't think so. I think that it fits. Like, because think about how his plot ended, right? He ended being alone. He was by himself. He'd lost everyone.
Okay, yeah.
And so I don't remember if Aunt May dies in his movies, but I think she does eventually in every story.
Yeah.
So we can assume that he's just
well,
like,
we
alone.
also didn't get a third movie for him, and I think that was also kind of playing off of it. Like, there's a lot of things that are hinted about what happens in him, like in what could have been a third movie.
Which I wish they would take him back and redo it, because that would be killer. Because I'd love to see, because he says he gets like rageful, and that happens a lot, or not a lot, but often in the comics.
Yeah.
And we see like an angry Spider-Man, and that shit goes so hard.
Do you think Andrew, like the actor, like himself, obviously because his name is Andrew, do you think he feels any resent to not getting a third movie? That these other two Spider-Man, they got their third movie, they got to round out their stories, and he didn't?
I like to think not.
Okay.
I can imagine there's some disappointment, especially after like the fiasco of Amazing Spider-Man 2, because that one just did not do well in the box office.
Yeah.
And I don't imagine there being resentment, because he doesn't seem like the kind of dude that's just like, then again, I don't know him.
No, but I mean, just from interviews and just the way that he's so like factual about like life is life. This is what it is. These are the cards that I've been dealt. And so I think you're right. I think it's kind of like not resentment, but I guess disappointment, but what could have been.
Yeah, like that longing of like, well, I could have had more time with the character. And then he did get a little more time with the character.
Yeah.
And who knows? Once the movie came out, like people all over the world like got together and they're like, we need more Andrew. The Amazing Spider-Man 3, like it was trending on Twitter for a couple days. People really do appreciate what he did for the character and the character that he created and the story that he created. But it is sad that we didn't get to see him again in his own standalone third film. But I think that is just, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just such a fiasco that pushing that any further would have just broken down what little we had that was good of the Andrew Spider-Man series. But that is my own personal opinion. Have any final rapid fire questions?
Okay, no, but my first one, this is like kind of like breaking what the movie is. Okay, they open their college acceptance letters. Did you open a college acceptance letter, or did you get an email about whether you were accepted into college?
I actually got letters.
I got emails about whether I was accepted or not.
I got letters.
And so it just kind of, the second time watching it and seeing that, I'm like, I don't think anybody opens letters anymore about colleges. I think they just send them through the email.
I always got letters, and I don't know if it was just because of the colleges I chose, but I got acceptance letters in the mail. That's how I figured out I was going to college.
Oh, okay. That just felt weird to me. Okay, bigger questions. Okay. If you were in Tom's shoes, I guess not in Tom's shoes, what would you have done? If
I was Spider-Man?
I guess. Yeah, if you were Spider-Man, would you have saved the villains or just send them back? Because that is a big thing it wasn't Spider-Man's initial reaction was, Tom's initial reaction was to just send them back. It was Aunt May who was like, you have to help them. What do you do? Because all of the problems comes from that decision, from I'm going to help them. These people that he doesn't know, will never see again, are completely from a different dimension, universe, will never affect his life from here on forward. Just send him back. He wants to go to college. He wants to be with his friends. But because Aunt May said, that's not who you are, you have to help them.
But I think that, personally, that sort of guilt would carry with you because he found out that they were going to die if they went back. If he had found out maybe like, oh, they just get like their life back and they could redeem themselves or something. No, they were going back and most of them were going to just die. So I think that I would have tried to do something about that if I were Spider-Man, because with great power comes great responsibility.
Okay, but next question. Did he actually save them?
That's a good question. We don't know.
I don't think so.
We don't know.
If you take what they... So first, I mean, the easiest one to refute for me is Doc Ock, because he says the exact moment when he was taken into this alternate dimension
was when he had him by the neck, and that's right before he falls
right
down.
before he dies.
Mhm.
Like, so, okay, he gets sent back. He's fine now. His reactor is still gonna explode. Like, there's no stopping his reactor.
And that's the thing, right? Like, a lot of people just theorize that, yes, they just go back and fucking die anyways. And then that's why you see in Spider-Man 1, they're theorizing, but they're obviously this was not planned. But they're theorizing that what was going on is they go back, and right before Norman Osborn dies, he gets stabbed through the chest by his own glider, and then says, "Don't tell Harry," and then he dies. Right there.
Mm-hmm.
So people think that in this canon, he gets saved, is no longer the Green Goblin, while the glider is flying towards him, and then he gets stabbed and dies after that change of heart. And then people are saying...
But he still dies.
Yeah, he still dies. That's yeah, they probably still die.
So, Tom, he did it for nothing. I mean, character development, but he did it for nothing.
For the knowledge of saving those he could save.
I guess.
Because with great power...
You don't get to finish that one. Nope. You just look what you did to all of them. You don't get to finish it, and now you have to... Nope. Now you have to die.
Because with great power comes great responsibility.
Ability.
Ability.
Did Toby know that both of them were gonna die? There's never a moment in the movie when he's like, "Hey, you're dead." Like,
I think what was surprising to me is when Toby first shows up, he goes, "Oh, I've seen you before."
Right?
But then he sees Andrew and he's like, "But you're not there." And then he shoots him with the web.
Yeah.
How the fuck does he know who Tom Holland's Spider-Man is?
His spidey senses. He knew that he had to help him, and he got a vision. I don't know. That whole thing didn't make any sense to me.
Made no sense. That made no sense. I did not understand that. It was.
But he knew who MJ and Ned were too, right?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said that you're not their friend, as in I've seen you guys before.
Mm-hmm. Has he watched? Is he a Marvel fan? Do you think he's seen all the Marvel movies? He didn't know who the Avengers were.
No, he didn't know who the Avengers were. Great. Who is that?
That line though, that was great. When
cute.
he was so happy for him because he's like, I was part of the Avengers. He's like, really? What is that?
Who is that?
It's so. Are you in a band?
You're right. The three of them interacting together is hilarious.
That's the best. I could watch that forever. I wish that is something that I could just in my brain.
That's the new Disney Plus show. Is Peter.
They didn't do the meme. I wanted them to do the meme so badly.
Yeah, where they point at each other.
Where they
kind of did it. They didn't want to go outright and do it because that's just boring. But they had the moment where Ned goes, "Peter," and they all like look at each other like, "Peter? Peter?"
Oh, they're kind of... I get what you're saying. It wasn't... Okay, but they did... Andrew was in the middle of them and was pointing at both of them. And he was... Okay. Nah, they kind of did it. I guess. Was there a way for Tom to be able to circumvent the spell? At the end, like everybody forgetting about him. Because MJ still has the necklace that he gave her in the last scene.
And if you read the original screenplay, which they released, the very last lines about MJ.
Look at this nerd, he read the screenplay.
Sorry, man, I can't help it. The very last line says that MJ has some recognition, like
really.
So I think they're leading up to her remembering.
Okay.
And like she also still has the cut on her head, which is what spurs Tom Holland's Spider-Man to not continue.
Yeah, because he's like, I've hurt her.
I've hurt her, and see what happened to Aunt May. He's like, I can't
do it. I can't bring them back into this life. This is my life. This is
but like she still has that. So how did she get it? How did she?
What does she think happens? Yeah, exactly.
How did she show up in front of the Statue of Liberty next to Ned with a crushed.
You know, they could make up anything. They could make up. They were on another field trip, and and this is what happens.
Yeah, but that's non-essential for the plot.
No, but I thought it was interesting, and I think because I've seen theories on it about, so when Peter disappears or when nobody remembers him, they don't remember him in the respect of those who have interacted with him. So he is still like a person. That's how he's able to still have like a birth certificate. He's able to get his GED because nobody like in the government has specifically interacted with Peter Parker. He is still a person like in government form. But anybody who had an interaction with him and knew him as like this like being, this human thoughts and feelings, they forgot who he was. But everything that he did wasn't forgotten. So like the necklace. So I wonder if at the end he could have like handed them something and be like, just remember this was given to you by Billy Bob. Remember Billy Bob, Billy Bob. And then he comes back and he's like, I'm Billy Bob. Could he have done it? I think he could have.
I don't know. It's speculation, and it has nowhere inside the purity of cinema.
I know, but I just wanted to put it out there and give you something to chew on.
Chew on it.
It's a great movie.
It's good.
It's good.
That
was our question. Was it good?
Was it good? Yeah.
I go back and forth. If you want to say it is good, I say it's good sometimes.
I say it's great.
I think about it too hard.
You think about everything a little too much.
Too hard.
Yeah. It is enjoyable. It is fun. I think the numbers speak enough for themselves. It was likely the most anticipated movie.
But it's all nostalgia based. Okay.
I think it was the most anticipated movie of the past 20
so
years.
surprised that they were able to, like, people knew that, like, Toby and Andrew were going to be in it, or, like, there was a lot of speculation, but that nothing, like, no leaks or anything came out with them. That is so great.
A couple of leaks. There was one with Andrew when they were on the balcony of the Empire State, the fucking Statue of Liberty.
Oh, okay.
There was a couple of set photos of that got leaked. I don't remember there being anything of Toby, but I heard that Toby walked into Central Park. Someone said, "Hey, are you in the new Spider-Man?" He said, "Yep," and then he left.
Oh no, Toby, no! I was also thinking they couldn't do any of the interviews with all of them, like, because they do all the pre-interviews. Yeah, and they couldn't have them because it was a big secret if they were in it. That sucks.
Andrew was doing rounds for Tick Tick Boom, and all they asked him about was, "Are you in Spider-Man?"
That fucking sucks.
I'm mad about that because, like, that's the hot topic. Everybody wants to talk about that, but like, just the man's not there to talk about that movie. He's here to talk about his other movie.
I can do multiple things. Yeah, I'm not one-sided. Man, that sucks.
But ending on a happy note, like, the movie's really good.
It's good.
I really enjoyed it. I think that it's easily going to surpass the highest grossing. I exploded. It's easily going to surpass the highest grossing movie.
Would you?
Of all time.
Would you? Can you not? He's messing with his chair, and he just, like, because it's one of those that, like, if you pull the lever, you fall down. So he's really short now. For those who are just listening,
am I even in frame?
You probably are.
Okay, cool.
You are.
Okay, so
that goes to, like, here.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much for joining us on this intellectual journey. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Bye. Can you just not be difficult for once?
Do you know me? Media for the Intellectually Impoverished is hosted by Trey Taylor Smith and Miranda Randy Zapes.
Produced by Cam Ritchie and edited by Kat Trapella.
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at MFTII Podcast.
Subscribe to our YouTube at Media for the Intellectually Impoverished or email us at mftiipodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening.